For years, Dana White was the guy who saved the UFC. And honestly, all of MMA, since there aren't many other real options. Now, he's slowly breaking it. Somewhere between building a billion-dollar empire and slapping his logo on Power Slap, the UFC stopped feeling like a sport. It started feeling like entertainment that only serves one man. This isn't just about fighter pay. It's about how the UFC is run, who gets pushed, who gets ignored, and why the sport doesn't feel the same anymore. When Francis Ngannou walked away from the UFC in 2023, Dana White made it sound simple. He doesn't want to take risks. He wants easy fights, but that wasn't the truth. Francis didn't leave because he was scared. He left because he asked for basic protections, health insurance, sponsorship freedom, a fighter advocate. As Francis said himself, it wasn't just about money, it was about freedom. And they weren't willing to give that, and Dana said, no. If I give Francis what he wants, then I've got to give it to everyone. Exactly, Dana. That's the whole point. Not long after Francis signed with the PFL, he locked in a massive boxing match with Tyson Fury. One fight, one night, a controversial loss, but he walked away with over $10 million. $10 million, more than his entire UFC career combined, which was around $3.6 million. And that really pissed Dana off. So he didn't just let Francis go, he cut him, stripped the title, acted like he never existed, tried to erase him from UFC history. Why? Because Francis showed fighters there's life after the UFC, and that scares Dana more than any punch. Let's talk some numbers. The UFC made over $1.1 billion in revenue last year. Fighters got about 13% of that. In boxing, that number is closer to 50%. And it's not like fighters can make up the difference with sponsors anymore. Before the Reebok deal in 2015, fighters could wear their own sponsors in the cage. Some were making $20,000, $50,000, even six figures per fight. Now, under the UFC's Venom deal, most fighters get around $3,500. That's not just a pay cut. That's the UFC taking the whole pie and giving fighters a crumb. Let's go back to UFC 232 in 2018. Jon Jones was about to rematch Gustafsson in Vegas. Days before the fight, positive again. Same old metabolite from before. Nevada said, not this time, John. So, what did Uncle Dana do? He moved the entire card to California, 6 days before the fight. Fans had booked hotels, fighters had cut weight, and Dana rerouted the whole thing like it was a DoorDash order. John still fought, still won, still got paid. Everyone else wasted their time, effort, and money. That's when people realized, if you make Dana money, the rules change for you. If you don't, you're disposable. In 2023, Dana launched Power Slap, a literal slap fighting league. And listen, we all love violence. That's why we're here. But this makes no sense.
What do you think of Power Slap?
Next question.
I'd rather dig a hole. I'd rather go into my mum's garden and dig a 6-foot hole.
But Dana? He said, if you don't like it, don't watch. Then plastered Power Slap everywhere, Fight Pass, socials, even TBS. It's insane to me to put this nonsense in UFC Fight Pass. Because UFC fighters, the ones actually risking their lives, are still out here fighting for $10,000 to show, $10,000 to win. Dana funding a side league where dudes slap each other for less than $2,000, while the real fighters getting cooked. It's straight up disrespect to UFC athletes. Back in the day, rankings meant something. Now, it's all Dana's desires. Here is some examples. Michael Chandler joined in 2021. He had 5 fights. Wins over Dan Hooker and Tony Ferguson. Losses to Oliveira, Gaethje, Poirier. Not a great record. Yet in 2024, he got a mega fight with Conor McGregor. Skipping real contenders. That's marketing priority over a real competitive ladder. Sean O'Malley, rated number 11 in the bantamweight division, when he fought number 1 contender Petr Yan at UFC 280, October 2022. Despite 25 of 26 media outlets scoring it for Yan, O'Malley got the judge's nod. Less than a year later, he had a title shot, while Merab, who kept beating top guys, got ignored. But we all know Merab cracked him later, twice. Ilia Topuria knocked out Charles Oliveira for the lightweight belt. Number 1 ranked Arman Tsarukyan was waiting. But UFC pushed for Paddy Pimblett. Why? Because Dana said, it's about moments. Nah, it's about who sells more and who kisses the king. Let's talk about the Jon Jones-Tom Aspinall situation. Jones wins the heavyweight title in 2023, pulls out of the Stipe fight, and disappears. Aspinall KOs Pavlovich in 69 seconds for the interim belt. Jones was scared for his life, so he retired, without ever mentioning Aspinall's name. "I'll retire him before even fighting him," Aspinall said. And he actually did. No unification, no stripping, just silence. If it were anyone else than Dana's daddy, Dana would have stripped the belt months ago. Same pattern back in 2016. Khabib was 23-0, humble, respectful, and clearly next in line for the lightweight title. But Dana gave the shot to Conor, who skipped the whole division and fought Eddie Alvarez at UFC 205. 'Cause why? Conor was on massive hype. At first, Khabib and Conor were cool. Everybody knows this photo, but once Khabib called out the favoritism,
This is number one bullshit.
Conor flipped the switch. Trash talk, religion shots, family shots. It escalated fast and ended up becoming the biggest fight in UFC history at UFC 229. Dana didn't step in, he let it boil, because chaos sells. But let's be fair, Dana White built this empire. No cap, no Dana, no UFC. He got MMA on ESPN. He turned cage fights into global events. He made household names out of nobodies. And yeah, he earned his spot. But sport is bigger than boss. But sadly, Dana doesn't act like that. He's almost like a dictator. We all love the fight game. The fights are still fire, always will be. But the system? It's getting worse and worse. We're watching legends get shelved, deserving contenders get ignored, and Dana White promotes slaps while fighters beg for bonuses. So the question isn't, is Dana ruining the UFC? It's this. Does the UFC need Dana White anymore? Or is he holding it back? Let me know what you think.